Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
On this Camper Report show, we follow the trend of the last 2 years now and talk with a family that RV'd for the first time. And guess what? They fell in love with it. We're going to hear their whole story.
That doesn't surprise me. I've got a great interview with John Kreider, VP of Marketing and Product Development for Thor Motor Coach, and we're going to focus our conversation on Class B motorhomes and B pluses, where they've had tremendous success.
There we go. Those stories, plus all the news from RV business and our friends at Woodall's Campground Magazine. Right here. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Camper Report Show. This is the news section. My name is John DePietro. Over there, got to work the right way now. The right way is Bob Zagami, and we have all the news of the week. And Bob, you were at the Tampa show a couple weeks ago, record-breaking crowds. You were in Boston, great crowds there. And we just read that Quart Size, the big, it's really an unshow, right? An unshow, a non-show.
It's kind of unsponsored. It just grew organically over all these years. And, it's the place to be in the winter, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it's hard to tell because they don't have a gate where you paid admission, but estimates are just over 100,000 people went to the show. And Bob, we're seeing that all over the country, large numbers of people coming to RV shows. It's just really amazing.
The numbers really are staggering. And you're right, they're up over 100,000 people in Quartzsite, and they camp out in different areas, and they have exhibits in different areas, and the people just find their way around. The Tampa show broke a record. They actually went up over 80,000 people in 5 days, and that was 2 days of bad weather. So that, they probably could have hit 100,000 people in the 5 days at Tampa. Then I came back and I went to the Fort Myers show, and I went on a Thursday, and it was like a Saturday. It was unbelievable. You couldn't get a parking space in the parking lot, and that's a much smaller show than Tampa. But everybody that opens their doors with an RV show this year is going to get an incredible crowd, and they're buyers. Everybody's telling us that people are just pulling out the checkbook, pulling out the cards, and they're buying the RVs. They've put up with this nonsense for 2 years. They're getting out there. They've seen their friends do it. They've seen family members do it. They see the fun. They see the enjoyment, and they're going to do it. They're going to be another crop of first-time people this year that are going to go out there and find out exactly why we all love the RV lifestyle.
Yeah, and there are RV shows that couldn't open their doors because of bad weather. But, the bad news is good news, because our friend Joe Gonzalez at the Northeast, I want to say the Connecticut RV show, the Northeast RV and Camping Show in Hartford, he had to deal with blizzard conditions. But talk about the innovative thinking on Joe's behalf.
Yeah, they get an A+ for this one. They did open their show on Friday last weekend, and they had a lot of people because the blizzard was forecast for Saturday.
Yeah.
So they had to cancel Saturday, and they weren't hit as hard as the East Coast up and down were. And they were able to open on Sunday, but they lost that big Saturday crowd. So Joe got together with the dealers, and they worked out a deal with the convention center in Hartford, which did not have any shows coming in the following week.
Yeah.
So the convention center worked with them and said, hey, just leave your stuff here and come back next weekend and do it all over again. So the dealers pitched in some more money themselves so that they could have another advertising campaign. Joe got a hold of the radio and television stations, and they're blasting the stuff all over Connecticut today and tomorrow, leading up to the opening on Friday. And they're going to do 2 shows in 2 weekends. So they're going to wind up with 5 days of consumer in the show, which would have been a 3-day show, 5 days, and I think only one dealer pulled out.
And good weather is forecast. And you know what? Look, it was a smart move on everybody's behalf to no show next week. Leave the products there. Now, I understand that the staff is sleeping in the RVs this week, just kind of testing them out, make sure they're okay. But nevertheless, we're going to see a lot of new RVers in New England this coming summer.
it was great cooperation between the owner of the show and the producer and the dealers, because they understand this market is so hot right now.
Yep.
That they wanted to come back and reward the people that went last weekend and take care of the people that didn't have a chance to get down to. That's in the convention center in downtown Hartford this
Hartford,
weekend.
Connecticut.
Friday, Saturday, and you're right, the Northeast RV and Camping Show.
Yep. So the interesting thing about bad weather kind of has this crazy reverse impact. RVers see bad weather and they see a silver lining in it, because look at 3 or 4 weeks ago, right after the start of the year, there were all those RVers that got stuck in that giant 10-mile or 50-mile traffic jam down in Virginia. And RVers were helping others and allowing them to use their facilities, if you will. And we just read a story that there was a family of 12 in Kentucky that they lost their house during those tornadoes and hurricanes that came through. And what happened is an RVing club or organization in Colorado, halfway, or if not more than halfway across the United States, got together and tell us what they did.
Yeah, the organization is called Emergency RV, and they actually had a family in Colorado donate a new RV, and another family in Wisconsin that donated an RV. And you're right, they have 12 people in the family, husband and wife, 2 biological children, 4 adopted children, 4 foster kids. So they talked about getting them one. And when the organizers of Emergency RV said, "How many do you have?" They said, "Well, we got 12." And they said, "Well,
we ain't gonna fit them all in one.
I think you're gonna need 2 motorhomes." So they've got 2 motorhomes, and they're going to use them once the property is cleared and they start rebuilding the house. They're going to move them to the property and live in them while they build the house. When the house is built and they move back into the house, they're going to keep one because they love RVing and they love the ability of what they have right now, and they're going to pay it forward and donate one of the other ones to another needy family.
Well, let's
RVers have big hearts.
Let's put it this way: we don't know if they're going to love RVing after 3 months in an RV without going anywhere, but they're going to like better than sleeping in an emergency shelter, that type thing. So at least they can live right on their own property where they're going to rebuild their home. But you know what? It's just another example of RVers taking care of RVers. And that's certainly one of the things that doesn't show up in any owner's manual or any statistics of the industry. RVers are a caring and sharing group of people.
Well, and on that same storm, our good friend Don Barone down in Connecticut with his Tackle the Storm Foundation put an entire truckload of rods and reels and drove them down to Kentucky, so that it was shortly after, it was a couple of days after the tornado, so they could put them in the hands of kids and take them out and teach them how to fish and get their mind off the tragedy that they had. So kudos to Don, who was a short-time RVer with us last season. We won't go into that story.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. But anyway, we want to thank our friends at RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine, and they are the people that provide all the news for this segment on this show called
The Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody. We got 2 great stories coming right up.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Camper Report Show, and I'm delighted to have an old friend on today, John Kreider, who is the VP of Marketing and Product Development. John, it seems like we've known each other for decades, and you've had a great career there. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the background that you had at Thor.
Well, Bob, thanks for having me on. Correct. I've been at Thor for going on about 17 years now. So started back in the Four Winds days when it was Four Winds International, and then kind of worked our way through the transition when Damon Motor Coach and Four Winds became what we know now as Thor Motor Coach. That was back in 2010. And so for the past 12 years, we have, operated as a company that, started off as one thing, and we've really branched out our business. We have about 25% market share in the overall motorhome realm of things. So we do sell quite a few vehicles into the market with lots of different names. And along my journey, I started off pretty much just doing more of the marketing side of the business. I was very fortunate that I've had some experience on the RV wholesale side in sales. I also worked for a chassis manufacturer, Workhorse, that, kind of back in their heyday, we were a big competitor to Ford. And we were really taking a lot of market share from them with the 8.1 liter GM engine and, bigger and better. And then I had this opportunity to come to the organization here and have really found my way and moved up into this vice president role.
Well, a lot of people watching may not remember the Workhorse days, but that was early on when I started covering and writing in the business. And it was just incredible to see them bring out a chassis that you could load a gas engine on or a diesel engine on. And it really caught on. And they had a great run in the RV industry.
Absolutely. And really, the downfall came to when General Motors made the decision that they're not going to produce the 8.1 liter engine any longer. That pretty much was kind of the stake that kind of ended the run for Workhorse, because engine availability really determines, what you could produce in the market.
Yeah. Well, John, what I want to talk to you about today is the emergence of Class B motorhomes, especially for our consumer fans, which make up the bulk of our audience. And what I wanted to do this year is to speak to more of the product development people and the marketing people to give the consumers a sense of how you frame the market and how you decide when to get into a market. So talk a little bit about your strategy of entering into the Class B plus market and the wide range of vehicles that you actually have available today.
Sure. Yes. So Bob, we've monitored the market constantly to find out, what are the trends, what are we looking at? And so, we've been in the B van market strong for about the last 3 years. Started off with one set of products, and then it's kind of proliferated into larger amount of products. When we saw a need for people getting out of the niche, which is what camper van Bs used to be, kind of this niche market, and they started making it more mainstream. We had more people that would contact us, asking us if we're going to build B vans. As we know, Thor Industries purchased the Erwin-Heimer Group out of the Europe, and there was a lot of discussion about, they do a lot of B vans over there, and they do really cool camper vans, and are they going to bring that to the U.S. and ultimately right now, Thor Industries is working to figure out what they're going to do. And as that kind of hubbub started around that Erwin-Heimer purchase, we got a lot more information, and we said, this is a market that is ripe. This is a market that needs some additional resources, and we thought we could provide a value proposition that would give the consumer a good coach that would be, priced, well in the market. And then, we did some things like a 2-year bumper to bumper warranty. So, gave you a sense of well-being and peace of mind that, when you own this van, it is something a little bit different than what we've traditionally built.
Right. And you have when we talk about a wide range of product, you've got about 8 different Class B and camper vans. Tell us what your thought process was when in bringing those to the market. Who were you going after?
Well, I think we were looking at our traditional motorhome crowd, that we knew there were a number of people that were downsizing from larger vehicles to smaller vehicles as their lifestyle changed, and maybe they got to a retirement age and they wanted something that was a transit vehicle. But then we started to see more of the Gen X generation, and even some of the Gen Z generation. And we saw all these people wanting to do these make your own camper vans. If you go to YouTube or you go to any of the social media, you'll find millions of people wanting to build camper vans. And what we found is that people that want to build camper vans, you have to have a high degree of ingenuity. You have to have a lot of mechanical know-how, and there's a cost associated with it. It's one thing to buy the van, but then to buy the van and to get it spec'd out the way that you want it, us being a manufacturing company that has some relatively large purchasing power, we decided we could do this. We could provide something for a consumer that they would like, and we could give them some features that B vans have that maybe some, vehicles you have to be hundreds of thousands of dollars more to get. So, we came out with two products to begin with in the Sequence and the Tolaro, Ram ProMaster base, brought those into the market, had really good success. And then we saw that there's people that need something that's a little bit more attractive as far as the price goes. And then we also had this group of people saying, hey, I want something that's a little bit more, it's a little larger and a little more rugged, which brought us into our Tranquility and Sanctuary next, which give you that Mercedes-Benz four-wheel drive application. And then kind of the last two products were the Scope and the Rise, which are built on a 1500 version of the Ram ProMaster chassis. And, those are great vehicles, just tool around. They're 17 feet long. I mean, if you think about it, a Cadillac Escalade or a Suburban is longer than what that van is.
That's
but
right.
Good luck sleeping in your Suburban or Tahoe and using the restroom and getting a sandwich, all that. So that kind of got us from, just starting into the business. And then over the last 3 years, really building out the number of products that we offer to the consumer.
Well, and you came into it at a great time, because when you get into it, a lot of dealers still were not carrying Class B and camper vans. They still looked at them as a niche product. And they were for many years. For 20 years, they were only growing 3 or 4% a year. And all of a sudden, it started to be 25, 30, 50. And last year, we almost doubled in terms of the number of units produced. So it has certainly grabbed hold both at the dealer level. So now the consumers have a much larger selection, and usually every one of their dealers probably has a Class B on the lot. And, when I do seminars for the consumer shows, I always ask how many people have 2 cars, and a lot of hands go up. And if they don't own an RV, I just simply say, look, at the next time you're getting ready to buy a car, I want you to look at a Class B motorhome. That start your RVing adventures now, and then talk about the differences. Do you see that same approach when you go out to your dealers in terms of picking up these product lines? What's the key interest level for the dealer in terms of selling Class Bs?
Well, I think every dealer across North America would tell you that the B vans are hot. I mean, small motorhomes in general are extremely attractive to a lot of buyers. You get around some of those things like, where am I going to park it? You get around some of those things like, will my HOA allow me to park it in my driveway? You get around a lot of things with a B van that you can't necessarily get around with a traditional Class C or a Class A. And so dealers have recognized that. There's a lot of really great dealers. I think really the real big push for the B vans really started kind of more West Coast, because we just saw so many people out there asking for these vans. And I don't know if it's because a lot of people remember what the 70s were like with a VW camper van, and, they're kind of reliving those days. But I think also, there's a cool factor that goes to having a van, right? Like it's different feeling. It's different looking. Like when you talk to people or see your friends out or whatever, when you're driving this really cool limousine type looking van, it's a whole different vibe than, maybe if you pull up in a traditional, 28-foot Class C motorhome.
Well, you're right. And I think as we see the technology that are in them, the older generations, they had the Volkswagen camper vans, or they had conversion vans. I mean, at one time, you and I remember, we had a conversion van association all unto itself that wasn't even counted in the RV statistics. And so that generation now looks at this and say, wow, look at the difference between what we used to have in the VWs and the conversion vans. We have a legitimate, fully equipped motorhome, just in a smaller scale. There isn't anything that you cannot put in a small Class B that you can't put in a 40-foot diesel pusher. A little bit smaller, less expensive. But the variety of what it brings to the marketplace is incredible today.
But I think too, with B vans have pushed the edge of technology too. I think that more automotive features and more dipping our toe into technology takes place in the B van market, because people, it seems, are more acceptable to having those things, whether we're talking about large solar packages, if we're talking about lithium batteries. I mean, the majority of our Class B vans don't even have traditional generators any longer. They have underhood alternators that create the power, that charge the batteries, that run everything in the vehicle. And so a lot of these new things, a lot of lightweight material, a lot of, more efficient appliances, all these things kind of come together in a B van. And because your cost isn't so large, you can really incorporate some of these things that people can still have, a payment that they can afford and get all this new stuff that maybe their guy that's got the $500,000 diesel pusher maybe doesn't have yet in his vehicle.
That's an interesting point. So our guest this morning is John Kreider, VP of Marketing and Product Development at Thor Motor Coach. Keeping the conversation on the Class B going, we got a couple more minutes, John. Where do you see your products going in the next year or two?
Well, I think that we have lots of good news on things that are happening in the van market as far as the van chassis themselves go. I think that is going to look really good. I think that the market for B vans really lends itself well to also really small Class C. So our Sprinter and Transit-based Class Cs, they've done extremely well in this market too. They're not 100% quite as small as the B van, but for people that need just a little bit more room, maybe want to travel just a little bit longer, we're talking about 1, 2, 3 week type trips. We're seeing a ton of people looking at our Gemini and Compass, and then our Delano and Tiburon. I can even tell you without giving away names. There are people on the Thor Industries executive staff that have Sprinter-based motorhomes because they have found that, traveling for short trips while they're still working, right? Obviously we've got a lot of really great people on the executive staff, but they're getting out and they're using the vehicles and they're loving it. And they're living the lifestyle that they're promoting and they're working for every day. And so I think that there's going to be new chassis entries that may be available. I think you're going to find even more things. You saw at Tampa, Thor Industries announced some really cool electric vehicle things like, and that was kind of one of those programs where they went out and Thor Industries knows that we're the market leader. And we need to continue to push the market to the next level. And, we see what's going on with automotive with electric vehicles. And, we're going to be right on those heels of making sure that people have efficient motorhomes that do the kind of things that they want their automobiles to do.
Yeah, we covered that last week in the Thor introduction of the Thor Vision vehicle. And a lot of that technology came out of Heimer Group in Germany, as Bob Martin said. And even though you don't want to mention names, I respect that. I'll mention one, but it's not in Thor. But we know that Jason Lippert has posted several things on LinkedIn and the like about the fact that he's got his little Delano there. He takes his family, and he's got a good sized family, and takes them out on vacations. All right, we're about out of time. John, I want to thank you very much. I know you're very, very busy between show season and product development, but I want to thank you for letting us come into your office this morning and talk a little bit about your success at Thor Motor Coach with the Class B motorhomes.
Well, Bob, I appreciate you having me, and I wish you the success and, try to stay warm the rest of this winter season.
All right, John, take care.
All right, you too.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the U.S. and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard. Pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out rvlife.com to learn more.
Hey, everybody, it's John DePietro. Welcome back to the Camper Report Show. Folks, for the last almost 2 years now, more and more people are getting into RVing that have never RV'd before. And it's not your average RVer, which used to be a retiree and older. Now we've got young families getting into RVing for a wide variety of reasons. It could be COVID, it could be going to college, it could be they don't want to fly, it could be a whole bunch of different reasons. But we have found 4 great people joining us all the way from the great state of Texas, and they are the DeLander family. and it's easy to remember who they are because the husband and wife are both Chris. Would you guys both raise your hand? Chris, and the kids are Edie and Alex. So, guys, welcome to the Camp Report Show.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having us.
So, you guys took kind of like the trip of a lifetime in a real short period of time. You all just finished the trip. Now, I'm from New England, and I said y'all. You know what? When you deal
I've
with
taught
people
you
in
well,
Texas,
John.
you have to say y'all because if you say use guys, they don't like it. So 2,391 miles in January, right? And that is like a trip that people save up for Christmas. For summer vacations for years and years and years. So Mom and Dad, tell us a little bit about, you found an RV up in Maine that was a friend of yours, and you said, let's head south, huh?
Let's go. Well, so my daughter, Edie, is a junior in high school, and we thought it'd be a great time to stop at different colleges along the way, universities, and certainly Alex as well. We expect him to go to college too. Did you hear that, Alex? And so we got in the RV and Friday morning, I guess, Thursday afternoon. Thursday afternoon. From Portland, Maine, and just headed south and thought it was going to be a great family trip. We had a little storm along the way, Izzy, who derailed us from what we had originally planned. I had all mapped out, and we ended up getting from Portland to Dallas in about 5 days. So it's over the Martin Luther King weekend, and it was a lot of fun for our first time to be in an RV.
Chris, just so people don't think that they misheard you, say that one more time. You went from Portland, Maine to Dallas, Texas in
5 days.
5 days.
Yes.
Mama nods her head. Alex is still trying to figure it out. But
some were longer than others, that's for sure. Yes.
Edie and Alex, let me just ask you this. It wasn't like sitting in the back of the station wagon when you were younger, huh?
No.
Not in the
Edie,
least.
You're the older, so we'll give you first crack at what you liked about the RV.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of downtime and a lot of time for me to, just kind of read and relax, sew a bit, play games, and I wasn't doing the driving, so yeah, so I was very comfortable in the back. But I mean, it was a great experience, just very relaxing and generally fun. I mean, we haven't done anything like this before, and it was just a fun vacation, stopping at places and whatnot. So I would definitely do it again.
Yeah. Well, see, you knew my second question from that. Alex, when you guys go, you're no stranger to Maine, but when you guys go to Maine, it's usually in beach weather, right?
Right. Yes.
Normally July.
Krista, did you visit any of the places on this trip that you normally went during the summer just to see?
Oh my goodness. I wanted to so badly. I wanted to, but we didn't have any time to spend in Maine, unfortunately. So I just had to look at the beautiful scenery from the RV, from the highway. It was lovely. I'm definitely going back to Maine in the winter though. I mean, we've been going to Maine for 20 years and never in the winter. So
yeah. Less crowded.
I will make that happen.
So just to be fair, the second turn I took was wrong.
Second turn.
Yeah, so I had to turn into some other place and back in and kind of go out. So I was a little nervous about making another stop. That wasn't on my list of predetermined places. So that's why we weren't able to go see all the places that
So Chris, what would you say to families that, have thought of the RV thing, but they were intimidated, and you guys had a Class A motorhome, not like the one behind me right here, but we'll show the picture of it. There might be people that are intimidated by it. You just seem to be able to approach it very naturally and skillfully.
Well, I had about 20 minutes of instruction from the previous owner.
20 minutes, you were definitely prepared.
Yes. Well, and the one thing he did say is, here's the most important thing, is take my phone number down. And because he said, you're going to need it. And I was like, no, I won't call him. I call them 5 times that first day. So I would say if it is your first time, you should have somebody that has been through it before that you can, just kind of rely on.
Yeah.
That'd be a number one tip.
So Krista, from a co-pilot's position, you're really high up there on the, sitting above the roadway. Were you telling him, Chris, watch out for this, watch out for that? Or were you kind of just chilling?
I was a little bit. I was like, you're in the line over here. You're over the line a little bit. I mean, it was hard to get used to at first, but I realized that, of course, you're on the line. You're on both lines because you're in such a wide vehicle. And I got used to it. It was great. I kept my eye on all the overhang heights and knew what I was watching for, and always made sure there were larger trucks around us just to have that peace of mind. And it was great. It was wonderful.
You said earlier, and either of you can answer this, you said earlier that your plan was changed because of a winter storm. And as you used the term before we get on the air, you pivoted. It was pretty easy to pivot in an RV versus other ways that you may have had accommodations that you'd lose your deposits and that type of thing. Krista, you're nodding your head on that.
Exactly.
That must have been pretty cool to be able to avoid the storm and still get to your destination.
It was great. I mean, we knew that, that was my other function as co-pilot, is calling trailer parks and, calling ahead, trying to plan ahead and see where we're going to be ending up. But it was great because we knew that if worst came to worst, we could always pull over into a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel and we'd be fine because we were driving our bedroom. And it was great. We used the RV Life app, and I used that to look for parks and
gas stations.
Yes, and make sure we were on the right roads we needed to be on.
Yeah. So Alex, did it have good internet so that you could be connected during that time and not have to talk to your sister?
Yes, it had wonderful internet. It wasn't like a car where there's like patchy spots. It was pretty much perfect internet all the way through.
Okay. Alex, you would do an RV trip again?
I would definitely do an RV trip. It's much different from plane, train, bus. It's free and you have more room, and there's no random people to bother you except for your family. But
should we keep that in or we edit that? No, we're gonna keep it in.
We keep that in.
Edie, I think you said before that you would definitely do it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, overall, it was just a good experience. Like, I got to just hang out, and I mean, like, all of the places we were able to go to also, and it was just beautiful scenery just in general, and it was different from the norm. It was just like taking your house on the road. It just, I don't know, it gave you kind of a flexibility that I haven't really experienced before on a vacation.
Now, this may sound like a TV type question, but did it bring you all together? Anybody can answer this one. Did it bring you together closer as a family?
I mean, I think so. It wasn't like smooth all the time because it's natural, but I think being like forced to be together and collaborative kind of I don't know, makes you more together, more compatible. But I didn't have a problem with anything. It was very smooth.
How about meals? What did you do for meals? Did you have food in the fridge, or did you stop at restaurants? How'd you do that?
We had water, we had coffee, we had some cheese and crackers. Pretty limited what we took with us just because of timing. We did stop at a few restaurants along the way, and where was it that we picked up the pizza to go? Oh, that was in Maine,
Connecticut.
Right? Connecticut, right?
Yeah. You don't want to buy pizza south of DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like you don't want to get barbecue in New England, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say to other families that we loved it, we think it's cool, we heartily recommend it?
If I could say this, I had no interest in being on an RV until now. I did it out of this, I don't know, just kind of a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 jump kind of thing. And I got to say, I really have a newfound respect for it. And the machine itself is incredible. We talked about the Cracker Barrel staying. We left the engine on overnight. A lot of things that I just didn't realize a machine like that could really handle. So absolutely, I thought it was a great trip, a great experience for us, and I wish I had probably signed up for it earlier, because now I look at it and go, oh, we probably could have done that, a few years in a row.
Well, depending upon where Edie goes to college, maybe an RV would be just what you need to go visit her.
Yes.
Right.
I know that when my daughter went to college, I had the RV, and moving her was so easy because we didn't have to squish anything in. We just threw it all in, and we got there and emptied it out, and we drove home. And actually, I think we just went to a casino that particular night where we could stay all night. But we just want to thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedules. And ladies and gentlemen, here is an example of another group of first-time RVers that might not be only-time RVers, but might want to go RVing all over again. They're the Delanders from Dallas, D&D. And Chris, if you want to say the name of your business, if we get any people that are driving around your area.
Oh, yes.
Stop.
Howdy Homemade Ice Cream Shops. We're actually franchising, so we're trying to get some other shops open across the country. So look for them.
Great. Krista, final words?
I just loved the whole experience. I surprised myself with how much I loved it. I'm normally kind of a, how do I say this, honey? Maybe you can help me out. Kind of a pampered princess type of person. And I loved it. I didn't care to stay in a hotel. I loved it. It was awesome.
This is true. Yeah.
And then we'll close with Alex. Go ahead. Whatever you want to say.
Final thoughts.
It was good. Definitely would do it again. It was a good derivative from the norm, and it was a new experience that was definitely something I would want to do again, and definitely something I enjoyed.
Alex, you're our final guest here. Your final words, Alex.
If you are debating whether to take an RV trip for the first time, I would definitely recommend. It brings the family together, and it creates wonderful memories that you will cherish forever.
Couldn't say it better than that. So this is the Kemp Report Show. Thank you for being with us.